Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, gentlemen, the first thing we have on our agenda today are the minutes. Do we have any additions, corrections?
I don't have any.
Okay,
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County for Tuesday, August 9th, 2022 as presented.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County for August 9th, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, planning. Looks like first thing on our agenda is we have a public hearing. So with that, Kim, would you call the roll, please?
I promise not to yell at you today. Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Commissioner Lindsay.
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver.
Here.
Administrator Anderson.
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review of a proposed high-impact amendment application and commercial plan unit development amendment application for Mancos Valley Storage submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, agent Erin Johnson, on property located at 40575 Highway 160, BR, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 3 acres more or less located north of Highway 160 BR, west of Monte Street, situated in Section 29, Township 36 North, Range 13 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, August 16, 2022 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 19th day of July, 2022, Kim Purcell Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Journal on Wednesday, July 27, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. All right, Don, would you give us an overview of what this public hearing is all about?
Sure. The applicants have Mancos Valley storage units, and it is in an existing commercial PUD. They have an existing high impact permit. They would like to install 3 more storage units to fill out the property and maximize the PUD with the 3 buildings. So the PUDs being amended as well as their high impact permits being amended. CDOT did not or does not require an amendment to the access permit. They deemed that it wasn't enough increase in traffic to warrant a change of that access permit. So everything else is in place, and that's pretty much it.
What are they using it for now? It looks like from the photo they were just using it for outside, like
It's just
boats,
open
trailers,
RV,
RVs.
boat
Okay.
storage, and they'll put in the cover.
How many proposed units do they plan on?
3.
I understand that, but each unit, how many are in each unit?
I have no idea.
I think it adds about 40,
Between all 3 buildings?
Yeah.
So 40 total?
yeah. They've
Okay.
had they've been building out on the other side for a while, and they've had a waiting list for years. So there's pretty high demand.
Okay. All right, well, then, obviously, I'm going to ask you,
Okay.
do you want to add anything before I open it up for public
Pretty
comment?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Gentlemen,
I
questions?
don't have anything. I remember this from a lot of years ago.
Okay. Well, good. I
Way back
have,
when.
I have age and wisdom up here with me. I won't tell you who's on the left or the right, which is which, but anyway. All right, well then, we're gonna go ahead and open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, I will close the public comment section of this hearing and basically bring it back to the commissioners. It looks like everything was met on the documents that I reviewed. Everything was met in the land use code, and what was the recommendation of?
We're unanimous to recommend approval.
Okay,
The setbacks are conditions of the PUD and the
That was the question you answered before I asked, so.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd have to have 50 feet against residential property. And 50 feet for, against residential property, 25 feet against commercial or industrial.
so the commercial would be the only thing to the south, which would be the 25, to the east would be the 50?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Which it kind of looks like that's the way it is on the picture, so.
It's been
all right.
approved on all prior
Yeah.
expansions of it.
All right, gentlemen,
I
Question?
don't have no problem
Comments?
with it.
all right.
Yeah, it's good.
I would so move we accept the planned unit development amendment application for Mancos Valley Storage submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, agent Erin Johnson, on property located at 40575 Highway 160, Mancos.
Second.
Okay.
Can we add to that the amendment of the high impact permit as well?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Would you add that, please, Kim?
So it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed high-impact amendment application and commercial planned unit development amendment application for the Mancos Valley Storage submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, agent Erin Johnson, on property located at 40575 Highway 160, Mancos, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll close the public hearing.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
like being first on your agenda.
Yeah.
Don't know how I do that.
Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
That's right, thank you.
Okay, the second one, we're gonna have another public hearing. Do you have the applicants here, Don? We just will bring them forward.
The applicant will be attending via Zoom,
Okay,
Mr. Jeff Oakey.
it's only 9:09, so. Okay, being at 9:10, we'll go ahead and start this. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Candelaria,
Here.
Commissioner Lindsey,
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver,
Here.
Administrator Anderson,
Here.
Attorney McLaren.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and a proposed amendment application and AR3-9 rezoning to the Mesa Foothills two-lot minor subdivision, lot number 2, submitted by Jeff Oakey on property located at 3214 Road H, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 18.10 acres more or less, located south of Highway 160, east of Road 27, situated in Section 34, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, August 16, 2022, at 9:10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co-montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com, public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 25th day of July, 2022, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022.
All right, thank you, Kim. Okay, Don, give us an overview on this one.
All right, Mr. Oakey is proposing to split Lot 2 of the Mesa Foothills minor subdivision. Lot 1 is to the east. He's splitting Lot 2 vertically north and south to create the two lots. Access is to the north on an existing access utility easement from Road H. Mr. Jennings is not in opposition of him dividing that. He spoke at P&Z, and Mr. Oakey is continuing the existing covenants. He is looking at some proposed building sites that will be memorialized on the plat. And P&Z was unanimous to recommend it for approval.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Oakey. Is there anything that you would like to add?
Morning. No, I'm just excited to join the Montezuma County Cortez area.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. All right, Commissioners, I'll bring it back to us before I open it up for a public hearing. Any questions or comments for planning or Mr. Oakey?
No, I have none at this time.
No.
Okay, well then I will open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session of this application and bring it back to the Commissioners. Again, my first question, everything met the land use code and unanimous by the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Correct.
Okay.
Can you run that down so we can see where's the county road?
It's off of H. It's as far east on H Road basically as you can get, I think, from looking at the map. I looked at the map and it's on the red designation of H Road, correct?
Correct. Just south of the compound.
Mm-hmm.
For those
Gotcha.
that remember.
Yeah. So it's,
There should be another map that gives the area and the zoning.
mm-hmm. Other questions?
I'm good.
Is that past where that real deep arroyo is there?
Yeah,
Am I,
I think it would be
yeah,
because
it's
the
east of that arroyo.
Camp Cush is about right in that
A little
arroyo.
bit more to keep going.
It's farther to the east, if my memory serves me correctly, because Camp Cush is right in the
Keep
arroyo.
going. So, there we go. How's that, Gerald?
Yeah, there you got it.
oh, okay.
That, see,
No,
that
we're good.
arroyo's over there to the
No,
west.
we're good. Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause that
That's it.
crossing across that deal is not good.
That's
what I
a
was
drainage
concerned.
off of the hill,
But it's,
off of the
yes.
mesa.
Mhm.
Mhm.
To the-
Okay,
But that's to the east of where this is, so it's okay.
all
I
right.
just, that bridge there is not,
Yeah,
very good, if I remember right. That's all I was concerned about. I didn't know that we need to put more on that.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
Pleasure.
I move to approve this proposed amendment application and AR3-9 rezoning to the Mesa Foothills 2-lot minor subdivision, lot number 2, submitted by Jeff Oakey on property located at 3214 Road H, Cortez, Colorado.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed amendment application and AR 3-9 rezoning to the Mesa Foothills 2-lot minor subdivision, lot number 2, submitted by Jeff Oakey on property located at 20214 Road H, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 18.10 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I will close this public hearing. There you go, Mr. Oakey, you are good to go.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Finish
Thank
up
you.
everything with planning and zoning, and welcome to the community.
Awesome.
All right, thank you. All right, what else do you have for us?
That's pretty much it for today.
A couple weeks ago, we did ask you for an update on the Loves process. Do you have an update on that for us?
Yeah, I talked to one of the representatives. He's more on the land acquisition side. He was gonna contact the construction side. I didn't hear back from him, but when Ian and I were checking out a property last week, I did notice that there'd been some activity out there. So we turned around and went and did an inspection. And they have, as part of one of their engineering firm's designs, to try and alleviate any issues with groundwater, they went in and drilled, and I don't know how deep, but they drilled on an 8-foot grid, 10-foot grid, the whole building site and the surrounding area. And I'm supposing they injected it with an expansive grouted it. So if you go by there's a whole bunch of little tubes poking out, and it looks like a bunch of trash, but it's actually their tubes that were injected in there. They just injected it and cut them off. So then the foundation work will go in that area. I haven't heard what they've decided on their tanks, but they've been pushing to have them buried the whole time, which I don't agree with, but that's their prerogative. They're concerned about the limited area of 5 acres for their site. They say that's the smallest footprint in the nation they've got, but I've seen some other retrofitted Loves areas, and they're pretty small too, so. But anyway, that's the first step forward, probably the most expensive step, but that's the way they wanted to go.
Okay, good.
So
So
we'll see.
there is progress moving forward down there.
I did speak with one of their regular contractors out of Florida a couple months ago, that he is planning on putting in a cost proposal on it, but he said the plans were in plan review, and it'll be probably 60, 90 days before those plans are actually out for their regular contractors to bid it. At that point, I would assume they'll be getting subcontractor prices from our area.
So we could potentially see some activity by the end of the year.
Yeah, like December
Potentially.
and January when you
Yeah.
don't want to start.
Correct. Now,
And
typically-
they may hold off until spring, because I think most of their contractors are from the south, and their engineering's out of Oklahoma, and they spent forever on this already, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't wait till spring before they actually did anything.
Okay. All
But
right.
it's a start.
Yeah.
Any other questions for planning?
Nope.
Okay,
All right, great,
thank you very much.
thank you.
All right. Okay, next we have our public comment session. Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. persons speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. Comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. And with that, the public comment session is open. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close it. And we will move on to our public safety. And first thing on our agenda, we have Sheriff Nallen. Good morning.
We're on. We're live. See if we can make this work, Travis.
Yes, sir. I've got you
All right,
set
by
up
golly,
on station one.
We're on the spot now, by God. Oh, what happened to it? There it is. Says I'm connected. I don't see it, but it says I'm connected. Every time. Sorry. Ta-da! Look at that.
There we go.
We did it.
Something happened.
Okay. Well, for the month of July, our calls for service were 1,641. As you can see throughout where we're at, we had 5 water disputes. Most of those have been settled. The ones, we have a couple down in Montezuma, which always have issues. We have the Colorado Division of Water engineer that is working with those users down there and owners to actually shoot those the proper type of levels for the weirs and division boxes, and then they'll work with them to get everything situated down there. It's pretty much out of our hands. Open ditches down there have a lot of leaks, and that causes a lot of less water for the end user, and that's been some of the problem, but we're helping that situation as best we can. And the clerk's office inundated with motor vehicle titles and registrations. We did 141 bin inspections. It just keeps going up and up. I don't know, but a lot of people moving in. Had 163 traffic contacts during the month of July. Our traffic accidents, we're covering a lot of the private property accidents and just assisting with the state patrol on the highways, the county roads. Most of them are starting to get covered now by the state patrol. Probably one of the other biggest things is that constantly we're trying to protect our businesses with 187 security checks, both day and night. Most of these are at night. We've increased as far as our mental health calls, as far as mental subjects. Had 9 last month. Livestock on the road is about the same, 11 calls last month. 6 were at large. All of those have been, the owners were notified and are identified and contacted and taken care of. Probably one of the other most important things is our domestics are still increasing. 17 just in the month of July. Any questions about our calls for service?
Not really. I had one as I was looking through this. The illegal trash dumping, you had 2 calls, and I know that it's not at the top of our priority list, but what really does that, is that just from a complaint coming into us?
Yes.
Or what is that?
Yeah, when somebody sees something that someone's dumping illegally, yes. And there is a county ordinance that deals with illegal dumping on the county right-of-ways, and those are cited. One of the big things that we see is debris being taken up into public lands and being dumped too. We can only do so much with that when we catch them going up there.
Okay.
For the jail, in the month of July, our transports are going to continue to increase. For just July, we had 13 transports with a total of 5,762 miles traveled. The cost for our transport deputies for DMYs, as you can see, is $237.20 for those costs of transports. It is noted that the district attorney and I are working together on what's to be extradited back and what's not. Most serious ones definitely will be. Those that are misdemeanor or lower class felonies will wait till they get closer. They'll come back. This is a jail roster for the month of July. Shows the number of arrests per day on that day, how many were released. You can see it's still back and forth with all of that. 132 arrests, 126 releases. It's a total of 258.
What's our capacity at right now?
Right now, we're at 76.
So 3/4?
Mhm. Yeah. It's running somewhere between 71 and 85. It fluctuates in there every day. We have 6 that are out, 4 at mental hospital in Pueblo. 2 will be coming back that are Dolores County cases today. And I don't know if they'll be reincarcerated or not, or if their cases are going to be over with. What's going to cost is the most recent one, which is a juvenile in Grand Junction. The courts want this individual in court and no video arraignments or court hearings by video. They want the individual here, so we have to go up and back, up and back, up and back. So that's going to increase our cost for transports, no doubt about it. But we're ready to do it, just the way it is. So this is what our population was by day, and as you can see, it's right in the mid-80s. The highest was 90 or 91 on the 6th and 7th of July, and so it runs right about in the mid-80s, upper 70s. For the city of Cortez, municipal charges, we have a total of 23 days, billed at $100 a day for $2,300 for the city of Cortez. As you can see, the most that they're in there is 3 to 4 days at the most. For Dolores County, they had a total of 143 days. They were billed $14,300 at $100 a day. So like I said, 2 of those are going to be coming back, and I don't know if they'll be reincarcerated or if they'll be released. For Department of Corrections, we're doing a lot better. We're down to only 4 as of today, I believe. So they've been billed for 141 days at $100 a day, $14,100. We know that we'll only see 2/3 of that. For the monies that were collected, the sheriff's fees and whatnot for the month of July, City of Cortez, of course, $2,300. $14,100 for Department of Corrections. Dolores County is $14,300. For non-reimbursable, 2,498 days is that amount. So total cost of prisoners is $280,500. Fees paid into the general fund are listed here. We have, I'll get down to the total here, $127,362.34. Pretrial is actually collecting more now than what it has in the past, including the home detention. I think the credit card situation has really helped tremendously getting that paid for. So that was a good deal. Thank you. Any questions about the jail information?
I have none.
Okay. I sent this to you. This is the IGA intergovernmental agreement with the Cortez Dispatch Center. The dates, of course, will be changed for the year of 2023. Needs to be signed by the end of, or before the end of December of this year. One thing that I did bring up last month that I did talk to you about was the length of the contract. There was talk in the users group that the City of Cortez wanted to have this agreement extended to, as you'll see on Section 9, subsection A for term. They wanted it to go either 3 to 5 years. I'm of the opinion that it should stay at 1 year at a time. You also have a termination and dissolution clause that's in there that you can end this within 60 days. You can give notice to end. It's a clause that's in there to protect us all, or protect the county anyway, not so much us. There's going to be another meeting with the, I think they call them the advisory committee, which is all the users, a representative from the users. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, whether it's this week or next week. Will happen again. And I know the county administrator was there the last meeting. More than likely he'll be there again. Don't know.
So where do we actually stand? I mean,
What's that?
where do we actually stand with this? What's?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about cost from everybody.
Mhm.
That's one of the biggest contentions with all of this, is cost. And like I mentioned, is that the budget that is prepared by the Cortez Dispatch Center is prepared by, of course, your city manager, the finance director, and the chief of police. The advisory committee, from what we've never had any input about that. It's just what we get. And so I pass that on to you of what they show, of what their annual budget is for the next year. And I understand that the $316,000 that the county will be billed for they're always 2 years behind. So that was 2 years ago, and this will continue to increase. I see that. We just don't know what the cost per call is. It's a percentage. I know that some of the users that have lower numbers that was given to you about calls for service, they end up having to pay more. And that's been a real problem, and they shouldn't have to. So I'm hoping that we can get all of that worked out relatively quickly before the end of the year, so that you'll have an idea of what the actual cost per call is and how can we reduce that cost with the city of Cortez. I know that all the users would like to do the same.
So what is our? So here's my next question: If obviously, if we don't know what how the budget's prepared and what's put in there, how are we going, I mean, what are our,
We don't have any.
how do we reduce the costs? What's our proposal? What are we giving them back? Because something that we deal with all the time is people will come in here and bring an issue up, and we're like, okay, we'll provide something else that solves the problem. So I guess I'm asking, what are we doing to solve the situation?
I would think that there should be input from all of the users, including the Board of County Commissioners and the City Council, to help work together to build a budget that is fair and reasonable. That's what should happen. That's my suggestion. I don't know if that's possible, but, I mean, it is supposed to be for all of the agencies to use. But we don't have any say about how they're constructing the budget.
Right. And it was just originally set up that the users group would oversee all of that, and the city would just administer it. And somewhere along the way, it got changed.
It changed, it did.
Yes.
Yes, it did.
So our increase this year, you're saying is gonna go up to 316,000? And that's based on our
That's for next year.
42% of the dispatch center?
That
Or
is for the
approximately?
calls, the percentage of the calls that we see, which is, they showed in that projection that I sent to you that the city of Cortez, for the first time, had approximately 200 more calls for service than we did. We've always been at the top of that. And how calls are charged as far as multiple agencies on any situation is a question as well. Okay?
What's the question?
Well, the question is how are we billed when, let's say that there's a house fire and you have mutual aid and you have law enforcement that is there, that, I mean, how is that charged? That is a question. And I don't know that we got an answer for that. So, it's a big deal.
So multiple agencies could get charged for that same call?
It could
That's
be,
what
Yeah,
you're saying.
well,
And
the
that
way I
shouldn't-
read it,
that shouldn't
everybody's being
happen.
charged, what, 1860
Something like that.
per call?
Yeah.
1854. So you have a multi-agency call, every agency is getting charged that
Could be.
for one call.
You know, that's the thing, is that it's not broke down in a way that you can see it
Right.
per call, per
And I-
incident.
And I don't know what's being charged off to the dispatch center in that building out there. I mean, is it a prorated share of the electricity and
I know.
the gas, the air, I mean, all of that?
I know.
I thought that was broken down for us.
I didn't
I
see
thought
it.
that was sent to us from
No.
their finance officer.
In the very beginning, they were showing what they were paying, what they were charging the dispatch center for that portion in the police department for utilities and everything else and power. Oh, we don't know where that's at, because I don't see that. Did you see that in their budget? I didn't.
So the increase from 360, I'm just trying to figure out what this increase is. So last year we were at,
326,000, something like that.
Like
correct,
320.
so that's a decrease.
Yeah, that was for the year before. Yep.
So their estimated cost is 316 for this year.
Mhm. That's our estimate, that's the estimated cost to the county.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of suggestions were given to help, and it's just been, it's been frustrating for all of the users to come up with, to work with them about a fair cost. And I don't know. It needs to, it was supposed to be a regional dispatch center, and it's turned out not to be that way. So, I don't know. I don't have the answers. All I can do is tell you what's going on and where I feel that we should be going. And we need to try and reduce these costs. And we have to work with them, or we have to find other solutions.
I guess that's where I'm at. What are our other solutions?
Other solutions is to be dispatched by another entity. That's really at a lower cost. We have to look at a cost savings. And that's the only, you can't just accept it, we have to look. And that's my responsibility to offer to the county to try and find other solutions that may be viable. And I don't know.
Because we asked this question a couple of years ago, and we couldn't find another agency that was viable,
Not
that
at that
wasn't
time.
even close to the same cost. Has
Yeah.
anything changed?
Well, the only one that was looked at was Montrose Regional, which is Westco, and they were the most expensive on the whole western slope. And the agencies that are involved in that are not happy with the cost of those things going up constantly on them. That's the wrong type of venue to look at. We need to look at looking at the state, for example. And that's where I'm looking at to see what the costs would be there, if it would even be feasible to do this. And it looks like it might be. I don't know.
What do we lose by going to an outside agency outside of,
Well, it doesn't change anything, other than our service provider has changed, and the cost for that service is changed, it's lower. And that's what we want. So long as they can do the same thing that we're having now, which they can, because they dispatch for other municipalities and counties throughout the state. Alamosa, for example, is a good example. Their comm center dispatches for all of the agencies, local and county and state, in the San Luis Valley area in the southern Colorado. They're actually dispatching for the western slope as well, has been for at least almost a year, because of the problems that Montrose Com had to remodel and getting dispatchers, and that's what has taken at least a year and a half to accomplish. But they're going to be switching back to where southwestern Colorado will be dispatched out of Montrose again by the end of the year.
so how does that affect us as the E911 board?
It's the
Because
same.
all of the equipment,
It's all-
we fund all
yeah.
of the equipment, right?
Yeah. They would have to obtain a share portion of that. And I think the best thing to do is, if we find out what entities or what service providers would be viable, is to bring them here so that they can tell you what they can do. And that would be the best thing to do, is to have them right here. And they're willing to do that, all the way from the Director of Communications with DPS, who I've spoken to several times. So they're willing to. The thing is that I want to provide options for you. It's your decision, not mine. And I'll just provide those options. And you decide what you want to do and how it would do it. I know that there are other agencies that are looking the same direction. Okay? So, kind of where we're at. But I'm not dragging anybody. I'm not pushing anybody. I'm looking at the county. That's what it's all about. Okay? What we can do better, if we can. Okay?
So are we being just told that we can't see how the budget is arrived, or what's the,
Well,
what's?
if you have no input as a user group as to what is going to be budgeted for that communication center, and what should not be, should be covered by the city, that's the thing that I think that everybody needs to have input with it. And I think that's what they're looking for.
Has anybody seen the latest financial breakdowns? Because they operate it as an enterprise zone. There should be record keeping of money in and money out of this enterprise. And I just want to know if anybody's seen that.
I haven't. I don't think any of us have.
Have we asked for it?
It's been asked for. It was asked for over a year ago when we were going through this, and things changed. And then we were told, what was it, that they couldn't provide that because they were going through audit.
Yeah, they hadn't
They
finished
couldn't-
their audits,
They
but their
couldn't
audits are
provide
finished.
an audit.
Yeah,
They said that. They couldn't get an independent outside agency
Something
to
like that.
audit the dispatch center,
right.
is what they told us. They didn't say that they couldn't provide,
I think what they provided was a limited amount, but I don't know. That went directly to Shaq and you folks, if there was anything, from what I understand. So, and I don't know if there's anything anywhere, so. It's something to at least talk to them about, and that's where I think you all need to get together and talk about these things. And
When do we
maybe
have
can
our
come
next
up with a
meeting?
solution.
coming up, the 25th of this month, right? The,
For the BOCC workshop or
no,
BOC?
it would be with the outside agencies,
Yes, that's the 25th.
25th of this month. So I guess that's, can be a question.
Yeah. But straight up, I'm not ready to sign an MOU until
I hear you.
our agencies are satisfied.
I agree. And I think that that's the reason why a lot of them are here.
Yeah.
And they're gonna watch, so, we just need to all be together, because the E911 funds belong to E911 and the users.
Yeah.
So, that's important, and so if there are changes, they need to go, a portion of that or whatever needs to go, and that can be worked out, but there's just some things that we need to look at what the options are,
Yeah.
and that's really up to you folks to.
And we have a
Like that.
substantial investment in equipment out there.
Yes, you do.
It's
Yeah.
all our equipment.
Yeah.
We run all the
Yeah.
E911 fund.
And there's other options that I know that the fire departments would like to have. I know that Cortez brought up something that they really want to have as far as their ability on calls and whatnot. I think that, what was that cost was? Yeah, so, you know, those are things that they want to try and improve in their communications capabilities to help manage calls and for firefighter safety. So, you know, those are things that we need to look at what can happen. You know, we really do. But I know that you all know where I sit with this and how it all came about, is that there was historical things that were done that were never really taken into consideration at the time, and things changed. So there's a lot of things that none of us knew about either until that happened. So I don't know. All I know is that we need to do something better, and we need to either try to improve this or look at what options can be. Okay? So,
So I'm hearing a couple different things, so when we have this conversation, one, it's the cost, and two, it's about the service.
mhm.
Is the service adequate or inadequate?
You know, you want to throw anybody under the bus. Don't.
That's, I'm not throwing it in,
I
I'm just saying, is it or is it
It
not?
can get better,
Yeah,
yes.
just from the
Just
comment that was made at a city here a month ago, you know, somebody wasn't very happy with service.
There's a lot of us that aren't. I know that they're trying. They are. They're going through, again, trying to fill positions, and that's a struggle. When you have new people, you got to be patient in that training and stuff. We all understand that. But it's kind of hit and miss. There are some good ones, and there are some that are training and learning that, you know, cause some issues, so that's where we're at.
Okay,
I know. That's kind of all I have with it.
okay.
The last thing that I have is I sent you, through the county administrator, Southern Health Partners quote for health provider services for the detention center. This comes highly recommended by many other sheriff's offices in the state that have used them and are using them and are moving to using them. the Plata County, for example, is one that has used them locally the longest, and couldn't be happier with that. With the changes of the laws that go into effect come January 1, when it comes down to those that come into the facility that are, that have opioid addictions or any other type of drug or alcohol addictions, there are going to be a set of new guidelines of how to manage these inmates and what medications that they have to have available and administered to them and monitored. And we do not have the capability of doing that.
Right.
I have one nurse, okay?
Behavioral health medications are big.
It is a big deal, and I tell you, I'm not comfortable with some of them, and I don't want the liability on me and you for these things. And so with Southern Health providers or partners, they take all of that on. They do all of the medical, 7 days a week, as you can see in the quote, as well as all of the liabilities. Their doctors, their nurses, their attorneys, everybody is involved and is a partner with the Montezuma County Detention Center. So that is something that would definitely be a relief. And I think it's something that we have to move forward with to help protect us.
So would that eliminate the need for our nurse?
What's that?
Does that eliminate the need for our nurse, since these nurses?
They would take our nurse on. They would actually, our nurse would be absorbed by them. They would take care of that. She would be an employee of Southern Health Partners. Yes. Yeah. So that is the problem is it's not cheap, but I'll tell you, if you look at some of the things that we've been dealing with and what we're going to look at in the future, this is the right way to go. Let them take that on and not us. The policies would be them and us. Their medical policies would be blended in with ours and approved by the county attorney. And I'll tell you, that would be something that would be in the right direction. So it keeps everything in its proper place. We just don't have an infirmary. We don't have a medical staff. And I'll tell you, the state is forcing us to go in that direction.
So can the funding for this be used out of the LEA? Because it's a
try.
new
We
state
try.
statute? I mean, I'm just
try.
asking the question,
Yes.
where do we come up with these
Well,
additional funds?
By LEA, I don't know that it can be. We would have to probably get an opinion from the county attorney to see whether or not LEA could be budgeted for this. I don't know. I don't
know the question. I don't know the answer off the
Sure.
top of
And
my head.
I'm just
but-
asking the question because this is just starting with our budgeting purposes for
Exactly.
right now. I'm just,
Yeah. I don't think that it would be, but that would be a legal question to be determined.
What do we
Okay.
pay nursing now out there?
What's that?
What do we pay nursing out there now?
She makes $50,000 annually,
Okay.
and she works 5 days a week. Is on call. And, that makes it tough when you only have one person. And when you're running, 80 to 90 inmates, that's a lot. That's a lot to view and manage.
so is this
every
part
day.
of 217? Because this is another unfunded mandate that they are supposed to supply the funding to.
Yeah, and I see
So-
no grant funding available for this.
So
at
is
all.
this part of 217? Or is it,
Nope. This is under the Jail Reform Act, which is a different statute. And that deals with all of the opioid addiction arrestees that come into a facility, both state and county jails and municipal jails, so, yep.
okay, well, Ian, we've got some work to do on this before.
I know.
obviously we make any kind of decision based on this.
Yeah. So, that's what I have in a nutshell. It's not all good, but it's just things that we're gonna have to really consider now. Yeah. Okay. So, questions?
All right.
Anything? Good? Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next we have our coroner.
I'll turn it off.
Thank you, thank you.
So you can probably guess the first question we're going to ask of you, George.
What's that?
I said you can probably guess the first question we're going to ask of you.
Shoot.
How are you with dispatch?
We had some issues that we addressed, and right now they're getting better. Actually, it's improved a lot, but we don't know for how long.
Yeah.
So right now it's working better. We're having problems with them responding to us on the radio. Sound like they were putting it on an external speaker rather than having it in their ear. Then whenever they're getting busy, well, they're getting all the chatter on the external speaker, they'd turn it down, then they'd page us out, and then we couldn't talk to nobody because they couldn't hear us because they'd turned the speaker down. So that was addressed, had a couple of meetings with them. It's gotten a lot better. So it almost acts like they're jumping on it because they've been talked to about it. So, but like I say, I don't know how long that'll last. Maybe it's from here on out, maybe it's not.
So that's just a training issue.
Kinda.
That's not necessarily, okay.
Policy issue.
Probably policy.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, we're still plugging along. So far, year to date, we've had 103 calls, 5 motor vehicle fatalities, 6 suicides, 6 overdoses. We had another homicide, which now we're up to 5. And we've done 129 autopsies so far in the morgue this year. So that brings it up to 25,800 that's brought in.
How much was that again?
25,800.
Okay.
Do you guys have anything for me?
I just, if you could kind of send like everybody else does in a packet to us prior, it kind of gives us a little bit more time to review it. That way we can actually have more questions or something that we, do you see what I'm getting at?
Sure.
So everybody else sends us something that we have for the weekend to look at, just to kind of compare notes and get ready better for us.
Okay.
If you could start doing that, I would appreciate it.
Okay. And I would like to go ahead and bring up again the Senate Bill 2265 for the full-time pay. The last time that we talked about it, you said that if I was working the time that I should be reimbursed for it. So I'm wanting to see where we're standing on that.
I don't think any decisions have been made. We haven't even,
No,
we're just
getting ready to
getting
start
ready
your
to
budget,
start the
so
budget process right now.
Put it in your budget, George.
I already did.
Okay.
So when, we haven't seen anything, obviously, we haven't even gotten to your budget yet, so,
Okay. Yeah,
That'll be-
it was submitted several days ago, maybe last week.
yeah. So Travis is just now getting the opportunity to start going through them, so we haven't seen it.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
guys
Jordan.
have any questions about it, about what I do in the office, or?
I think the biggest thing for us that we ask the question is does this reduce your staffing that you have? Is that gonna reduce I think you said you had 5?
Let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 deputies. And that's one thing you keep bringing up, and I'm not sure that you, or maybe you do or don't understand. Those deputies are not full-time. I mean, they're,
We do understand that. We were just, that was the question that was asked around the state. And that's why I bring it up, is like, what is their schedule? What is their description? What do they do? What
They're
is their
deputies.
rotation?
I do have one part-time deputy,
Mhm.
and he covers nights and every other weekend. Well, not every night, but weeknights. And then the other ones are basically volunteer. So if I need to take a weekend off and it's my weekend, or if he's gone, my part-time, I try to find somebody to cover for him. I have one deputy that hasn't taken call for a year, but she's an emergency backup. So if I have a double call during the day, she can take calls in days occasionally. So if I have a double call and my only other person
So
that I have.
I think basically what I'm getting at is, and we discussed this in our department head meeting yesterday, is as your budget comes in, your requests and your descriptions of all of your requests have to be in there.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was a discussion that we had yesterday internally with all of the department heads. So just get with Travis of basically the direction that we gave to all of the department heads yesterday.
Yeah, and my requests are basically on it.
Yeah, so,
It doesn't, I don't know if you want it broke down for deputies or things like that.
it's
'cause
for the
it-
entire budget,
Your budget.
your budget. So get it to Travis, that's for you guys internally to figure out, and then we'll look at it and go from there.
Okay. All right. Do you guys have any other questions?
I have none.
Nothing?
All right,
Okay, you guys have a good day.
you too.
Thank you, George.
Okay, I see no district attorney in here, so we're gonna go, unless, did Clarissa call or, okay. Okay, we're gonna go to Mr. Spratlin, our EM.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Miss Kim, Ian, boss. I don't know why I brought this up. So you got my packet. I know you read it.
See?
I know
What-
you read
What
it.
lake is drained?
Huh?
What lake is drained? There,
Yeah,
Gwinnett?
groundhog. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I was
okay.
in a hurry typing, made a mistake. But you know, it's what happens when you're in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just to highlight some of the report. So we're still, we extended our drought disaster in the county till October 1st, so next month, we'll talk about it, see if we need to continue or not. We'll see what all the temperatures are doing, you know. The humidities are back up really well. Let's see here. So I just got the calculator information this morning, and it's lower than the one you have in your packet on page 2. So we're looking really good. We're getting some single trees everywhere, lightning strikes. Had one this morning out there south of 160. And so they're just sitting there when they get hit, and we go out and clean them up, or they go out and clean them up. So we're doing well. Fire restrictions are still in. I'll get into the activation here, but we did activate our virtual EOC when Mancos power went out, not just the town, but out in the county. And we learned a lot from activating our little EOC. And thank God, no injuries, no complaints, everything turned out really well. That tri-state transformer is the one that blew out, very expensive. The mobile plant is parked there and it's running just fine. It's gonna stay there.
Let's not jinx it, man.
Huh?
Let's not jinx it.
I'm just shutting up. It's running wonderful. Otherwise, I mean, I can look out my window and wave at it and it's still running good, yeah, so. Tri-State's working on either a repair or replacement, but as you know, replacement's very expensive, and it's not like around the corner you can go buy one of them things. So I know Tri-State's still going to keep that up and running. Talk with Empire, everything's fine. So it's helping us out. Water, the levels are going down, of course, but we've got plenty in there. And McPhee this morning, for yesterday's count, was around 54,500 plus acre feet, so that's good. And they're still working on the gate over at Groundhog. So
It'll be-
end of September, maybe.
Yeah, that's the original plan. We should have it completed by the 1st of October. That's their goal. See
Good.
how it works out.
And we've got the water flowing too, MVI. We're going to probably the end of September for sure for ag. So water's looking good. Canal's full. Jackson's 7,500 acre feet. Yeah, we're good. All the tanks are full. Health and medical, just a highlight. COVID's kind of just hovering now. We had an additional 200 cases according to the state statistics, but we're still at total for like 2 years worth, 0.42% of people have contacted COVID. So, and no more deaths, thank God. We're still at 83 according to the state. The coroner and I can argue about that, but yeah, for now, the state stats are 83 on that. Already went over Mancos. Yeah, I learned a lot. It was good. It was a good, I guess, maybe the people that didn't have power didn't think it was that good, but it was a good exercise. You know, we had a lot of plans and we poked holes in them, so it's good. So we're going to play better.
So in Mancos, what did the nursing home finally end up doing?
They were fine. They had inadvertent power 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock that afternoon. They didn't have to worry about their food supplies, so they were good. The clinic, we moved vaccines out of there, and they just shut down the clinic. So anybody needed it, they can come into town. That was about it. I had some access functional needs people that I was communicating with, making sure they had power. So that's pretty much was my job that night, was trying to make sure everybody was doing well. And Echo Basin, he had a lot of food, but we got a generator up there for him, so it was good. It worked out good. But I think it opened up everybody's eyes. I'm not a prepper, but I'm an emergency manager and I'm prepped. And I think people, when you lose power, you got to think about what that runs, especially functional needs people that have O2 concentrators or whatever they need. $385, little generator, real quiet runs, you know, and we're going to do some more messaging and get out, you know, at these markets, do a little proactive marketing to try to tell people.
So
to
do they
prepare.
have a backup generator at that facility?
At Echo?
No, the nursing home.
No. And they have a surge plan, the health department and them work closely. That's what we were working with during this. And they have a surge plan. If something occurs, they start transporting people to a facility that has power. So it wasn't countywide, but if that was countywide, more often than not, I've seen it go into La Plata County too. So you got to change up your surge plans and what we're doing. So.
I told those people at the Mancos meeting, town council meeting last week too, that if they do have needs like that, to get with you and get on a list so that they could get taken care of if that happens again.
Right.
Because just like down at my house, it was 24 hours before that came back on.
Right.
You know, so that if they didn't have, it's just like myself, I've got a generator that I can run my refrigerators and stuff with, but I couldn't run all of them.
Right.
Because I've got all my animal service medicine and those and stuff. So I told those people to get a hold of it, get on a list so that we could help them if they do have emergency needs and it's off for that long again. So you may get some calls.
That's right. That's what I want. I want people to be aware.
Well, that's
Very
what I told
important.
them, to get on the list, so if you need help, we can help you. But if we don't know you're out, you needing it.
Well,
it's
that's a
pretty
big
hard for us to
thing
help
too.
you.
So-
And there were people I called on the list that I have, and I called and one lady was really nice, and she had a dialysis machine that she needed, and she was prepared for 4 days worth of power. She said, not a problem. But they were thankful that we called, but the only reason I called is because they're on a list. And you know, after 4 hours of no power, and then somebody calls me, I'm right in the middle of it, and you know, this is the thing, you can get on a list, but that doesn't mean we're gonna bring you a generator. It means you're on a list and we may have to, you know, get you to a shelter or a hotel or someplace where there's power, but we can't deliver, you know, 4,000 generators. So that's the idea, is to get people prepared, have some food, water, storage, et cetera, and then just prep. It used to be a 24-hour, it went to 72, and I'm recommending a week easily. Just be ready for a week. And that just eases the pain on, you know, emergency management and what we're doing in the middle of this, which includes governments, lift stations, power plants, water treatment
Where do we
plants.
stand with our generator for public health?
I was just talking with Dustin yesterday. We have a proposal all in. I don't remember the figures, but it's all labeled out for Laurel. So she's supposed to look at it, make sure the grant works, so we'll get it in there.
Okay.
Then we're proposing for our coroner's office, of course, pretty important. We're gonna try to get a small one in there, run the place, and then we have so if the health department does that, so then Kim's house, and then the fairgrounds. So we've got a nice 3-year plan. We can move that ahead if you like, but we do get that match. It has to be brand new stuff, but we get that match from FEMA. So if it looks cost savings, we'll do it without it, get like we did here. Perfectly fine generator that's running great, so. But yeah, that's the key. Get everybody prepared. That's my spiel.
All right.
I'm sticking to it. And then just my budget's in here, current. I think it was up to June 30th. And then miscellaneous odds and ends, and that's it. Thanks for reading my reports, by the way, guys. I appreciate you. That's how you found my mistake. You know, Larry Don even read my reports, and he'd say, yeah, you said this, and I'm like, oops. So, yeah, it's good. I like, hey, you know, it ain't perfect.
All right.
That's it. You guys good?
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Okay. CFPD. We have our intern chief.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you again for having us here today. Okay. I don't have a whole lot, so our calls for service in July were 312. That brings us up to 1,944. Typically, our monthly calls are somewhere between 280 and 300, so we're on the high end again. One of our town chiefs, Rick Spencer, I may have mentioned this before, is working on putting together the Fire One class for the county, as well as a countywide extrication class that should be coming up excuse me, next spring. And we're also working on an automatic aid agreement, with the other fire departments. So we've been talking to Dolores, Mancos, as well as Lewis, which will better our response for all of the departments, get people there faster in the event of a fire. We're still working through that. I'll go ahead and just have two other things. One, I'll back up on what the sheriff was saying. We're looking at the dispatch thing too. We're looking at the finances and not only how much we're getting billed, but how we're being billed and what that looks like as far as what they're actually billing us for in the calls. And we're also looking at contingencies if we can't get that fixed. And there's another important thing another part of that I want to bring up, since it was already mentioned, is the guide cards. The guide cards not only give them the ability to, if somebody calls in, they find out the nature of the call. The guide cards give them questions they can ask to better decide what kind of response is needed and better coach the folks that they have on the phone. The other part of that is the guide cards tie back to our ISO rating. So our ISO rating, the ISO comes in and rates an area's fire department, and then your homeowner's insurance, your premiums are based on what the ISO rating is. So without those guide cards, that's about 20 points off of our ISO rating. We're also, one of the things we're looking at is the dispatch times, and the times also tie into the ISO rating. So it does have not just a financial thing for the different entities, but there's some safety stuff, but it also ties back to the community and what they're paying for their insurance. So there's a lot involved in that. I just wanted to throw that out there. And then the last thing I'd like to kind of put on your guys' radar, and I don't know what's been discussed about this before, is a possibility of adopting a fire code for the county. We get, I didn't realize how much we do until the last 2 months. We get a lot of calls for people asking fire code questions from county residents and county businesses, and we can make recommendations to them for what we think it should be, but there's nothing behind. We don't have anything to back that up, and there's no teeth to it. And I'll give you an example of why that can be a real problem. We have this concert coming up on September 4th at the fairgrounds, and the promoter reached out to us and asked us some fire code questions like the seating capacity and exits and that kind of stuff. And so we can make recommendations, but they can still basically do what they want because there's nothing to back that up. And so they're talking about using one of the buildings to and kind of modifying the inside of it to make dressing rooms for the talent and then have a VIP party in there. And so again, we can go make recommendations, but if they don't follow our recommendations and something catastrophic happens, then that can go back on, why didn't you guys follow these recommendations? Well, there's no fire code in the county, which kind of falls back on you guys, I think. If I'm not mistaken, that might be a liability for you.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
No, because the way I understand the code book, without a building code, the fire code can't even be adopted. So you might check into that.
I will take a look at that. I wasn't aware of
Because
that.
the fire code then directly reflects
They tie into each other.
as they met, yeah, right.
I want to put that on your guys' radar because we do get a lot of calls about that.
So just for your knowledge, we are, and it's been a conversation that we've had several times in here, of the suppression system out at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And we are working diligently on that to get that resolved, updated to where that does have an actual 6-inch static line for that suppression system, instead of what they're basing it off of right now, off of that 3-inch line.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
we've actually had that conversation a lot here lately, trying to work with the water company to see if we can actually get a 6-inch static line, because they're saying they don't have enough water to supply it.
Gotcha.
So there are a lot of issues that come up with it. It's not just as easy as saying, hey, just do it, because we have to have the availability of the water to actually supply it.
Right, I understand that.
So just for you and your radar, because it is in your protection district, you know, we're definitely looking at that right now. We actually have bids out that we actually have accepted for the suppression system
Awesome.
on the east side of the structure. But here again, it has to be supplied by a static line.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, jumping right into unfinished business. We're gonna skip the next two. We're gonna table them because we don't have anybody here. And we'll go right straight down to the discussion on the contributions for the 2023. Gentlemen, did you have any opportunity after our discussions yesterday?
We've got 2 school board superintendents here. And I think by statute, we have to have 3, all 3.
That's correct.
I don't want to detain you guys any.
Tom to see if he was gonna send somebody down here from Cortez.
Okay. Did he?
We're not good back.
Okay.
He's, what'd you say, Tom, he's got a little issue going on.
Yeah, there's a water main break too, the schools
Mhm.
are closed.
Yeah.
And then also, part of the.
Why don't you guys, let me table this discussion for a minute, and since you guys are here, come on down, grab a mic, and we'll go ahead and into the discussion.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so at the forefront, Commissioner, without the three here, without a representative from each of the three districts here, we're not really gonna be able to do a whole lot. So I don't know if there's a chance that Cortez is gonna get somebody here within the next,
We told them to, you know, we thought we had about 20 minutes in Mesa when that was. That
About
was
an hour ago?
10:13, we started getting worried and said, hey, could y'all please try to get somebody down?
I hate that you guys had to sit out here for a while, but by statute, without the three here, I mean, it's kind of a non-starter.
We'll wait for a while, if that's what y'all want to do, push it down the agenda.
Yeah, we just don't wanna waste your time. I know school's
Yeah,
in session.
Yeah, we're not wanting, and this is the same thing, you know, Todd, that we talked about. You know, we struggle with this just because the statute says that we're bound to have all three superintendents here, and we can't seem to get three superintendents here. Not your fault. You know, you guys are now, looks like you're on stable ground like we talked about, but
When's the next meeting?
we meet every Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, our business meetings are every Tuesday, so it's easy to get to us.
How about, for next Tuesday, does it need to be the superintendent for that school district or a representative?
A representative.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll make sure that Montezuma Cortez is represented at that time.
Okay,
If you could
well
get us
then,
on the agenda, that'd
we'll
be
just
great.
put it on the agenda for next Tuesday, and we'll try to put it right after planning. And then that way,
Right up front.
depending on how quick planning goes, you guys can get in and out relatively quickly.
Happens.
All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
gentlemen,
thank you,
for your
guys.
time.
Did you catch that, Travis? We'll put the superintendents right after planning next Tuesday, and they will try to make sure that MCHS has a representative.
Thanks again.
All right, so we'll go back up to our discussion as it relates to the contributions for the 2023. This we discussed in our workshop yesterday of the contributions, and again, this is basically coming up with a number of what we are going to look at funding. We have numerous requests that we get for funding every year, and it's just a matter of, you know, what actually are the dollars that we want to spend, and then we can allocate them on the budgets that are requested. So yesterday, the number we came up with, or that was discussed, not that any decisions were made, but looking at what we had done in the previous year, and what we were looking at as far as the increase of Region 9, we're about 76 to 78,000. Is that correct, Travis?
That is correct.
So that was kind of a starting number, and then, not that we actually have to decide that today, but I was just wondering if you guys had any more discussion that you wanted to talk about. We haven't had any request. We do have an MOU with Access and the acute treatment unit, that $10,000. If they have enough leftover funding, maybe
That may go away.
it
if
may
they have
go away, but we still have an MOU that says
Correct.
that 10,000 has to be there. So, other than that, none of them have an MOU with them. So again, like I said, we don't have to make a decision today, but that's the number that was, that we were looking at yesterday, that had come out. Do you want to move on this today as an action item, or do you want to wait till
Let's-
we get more requests and see what
Let's
they
wait to
come
see
up
what
with?
requests are.
Okay.
Can give it, another, we can't wait much more than 30 days.
We could actually wait till the end of September. I'm sure they'll all be in here by then. We can just be thinking about it and say, look, is this actually a real number, or should it be
I mean, just,
moved one way or the other?
just looking at the 76,000 number, our revenues are down about 18% from Kinder Morgan, so I rounded it about 65,000.
Okay,
That's just a starting point. I mean,
okay, logical.
I didn't know where to go with it. I mean,
Well,
we don't have
it's
any
gonna get more
requests.
difficult all the time because
Right.
of inflation rates and budget. So, I don't think we need to make a decision today. We'll just see what the presentations are, other than the MOU for access. Okay. All right. Lynn. There she is. This is another item that was discussed yesterday in our workshop, and it's on our agenda today for an action. Basically, we had a statute come out with the state that we had to comply with. We have no more comp time that can be offered. It has to be, if they work overtime, you get paid overtime. Comp time will be off of the books. So this basically just cleans up all of that, and with that, Lynn, I'll turn it back over to you.
Correct, and this is just a clean version of what we went over without all the markups and everything, and with your suggestion of wording on 3.4 I added yesterday.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's just, needs to be approved for updates, amendments.
Okay. It didn't seem like anybody had any heartaches at all yesterday with our department head meeting, so
I would so move we approve the amendments to the employee handbook.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the amendments to the employee handbook that's presented by our HR director. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll send those out to all department heads.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. All right, Ian.
So I was in court a couple times last week.
Could be, go ahead.
Okay. I was in court a couple times last week. On Friday last week, I was in court for our land use matter south of town. That was for a hearing on the contempt citation that we filed because that property hasn't been cleaned up as ordered by the court. The property owner did not show up for that hearing, and so a bench warrant has been issued. And so at this point, as soon as he has contact with law enforcement, he'll be brought in and put before the court, and we'll start to move this thing forward. The other court appearance I had was just a brief one last week regarding our Ellis Lewis land use matter out in Summit Lake West, the Summit Lake West subdivision. We did set that matter for trial. That got set on January 6th of next year. The civil docket is way out there right now, and so we are set for a one-day trial. I intend to file some pretrial motions that my hope is will resolve that case before it gets to trial, but that'll all be done after the case management order is developed, and that's in the process now. So that's going to be down the road, but we do have that trial set. That's what I have to report at this time.
Okay. And I'm going to jump back up. I see a face out there I don't recognize. Are you Miss Branner?
I'm actually filling in for her.
Okay. Well, then I'll, Community Connections was on the agenda, and I didn't recognize you, so I apologize for that. If you'll come on down, and we'll go back up to Community Connections.
Okay.
All right? So if you'll make sure that mic is on, pull it real close to your mouth, and,
It's on.
okay.
So I was sent here in Lisa's absence to ask for a letter of support for a grant we're doing. We are seeking to gain a accessible van. Currently, Community Connections in Cortez has a large bus, which is great. It's accessible, but it does impact some of our clients and program as far as taking out smaller groups or only able to transport so many people that utilize a wheelchair. So we're looking to have a letter of recommendation on the grant that we're seeking.
Okay, question?
No, I think that these folks really need that van.
It'd be nice.
Questions, Commissioner?
Have you seen this?
It's like any grant doesn't guarantee that you'll be successful.
Correct.
Right, okay.
I would so move we sign the letter of support for Community Connections to receive, to support their grant FTA 5310 Operation Fund request for a transit van accessible for peoples with disability.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sign a letter of support for Community Connections for a transit van for Montezuma County residents. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
You're welcome.
We just needed somebody to explain to us what it was for.
I think those might be two different ones.
Are they two different ones?
I think one of those,
Don't run off yet. You have two.
and I need a name.
What is a vehicle? That's what we just voted on?
Right, and I think one's operations and one was a different transport, or I'm not sure why. I thought one was operations, one was transport. It says on the little blue sticker there.
Funding for vehicles to operate a transportation program serving approximately,
So are you applying for two different grants?
I'm not sure what Lisa's doing. I know that
vehicle request.
And that one is
This is for the transportation.
capital vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, this is, see, this one says operational fund request, and that one says capital vehicle request. So I didn't know, I printed them both.
So this is all we voted on?
Yeah, this is the one that I saw.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll take care of that letter of support for you right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, I think we have everything back in line. Mr. Dietrich, Natural Resources, come on down. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
There we go.
For my report, would make a note that we attended the Indy Dwell tour yesterday. That was an absolutely fascinating operation that they've got going there. Doing some pretty neat things that I think is a pretty good model that we might be able to replicate here in the county. It'd be great if we could get that into that organization to come down and set something up for us down here too. But they are really cranking out some houses. And it seems like they've got an excellent business model in place that seems pretty sustainable. In terms of workforce, the impacts that they have on the workforce was pretty remarkable there in Pueblo. So, all the way around, it seems like that there's a really good opportunity there. We need to kind of keep working with folks like them or others that are similar. That just seems like a really good opportunity for us. So we'll keep working on that.
So do they have any real interest? This conversation with Indy Dwell started about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
We obviously went last year, Commissioner Lindsay, myself, went to Fading West. But do they have any real interest of coming across the mountain?
I'm sorry, can you?
Do they have any real interest of coming across the mountain?
That's unknown at this time. They are actively looking to set up at least 10 other sites across the country. So I think we're we're probably as much an opportunity for them as any place else. And of course, we've always pitched the idea that we're really kind of centrally located, you know, between some major metropolitan areas. But the main thing is that, you know, we're bordering some tribal properties, and you know, the housing needs down there are enormous. And you know, it's what they're looking for is you know, kind of a market, and a dependable market. So if we can make that work with the tribes and get everybody together on that, then I think that there is a really strong possibility they might consider Montezuma County. And of course, you know, we also had some representation from Archuleta County, and you know, so I think we need to be thinking about these kind of things regionally also. There's also a huge need in Archuleta County, but also having those guys in our corner, you know, trying to land something like this down in our neck of the woods would be really helpful too. So obviously we want it located in Montezuma County, but of course, you know, having that partnership with everybody in our region would be very helpful. And I think that we've got a great location for it. So I mean, it's going to be, you know, compared to Archuleta County or La Plata County, I think it's going to be a lot easier here. So, so that's the one thing we've got going for us. But again, all of our partners together on this is really more of a powerful voice also. So.
In these tours, did they offer up any type of invitation for the Ute Mountain Utes or the Navajos to come?
Yes. And we really tried hard to get our tribal members involved, and we had no participation. And I don't know what to do, but keep trying on that one. You know, I mean, that's just, yeah, it seemed like everybody's pretty interested, and especially when we visited with, you know, President Nez a while back. It sounded like there was a lot of interest there, but we certainly have not had much response. So, and again, I don't know what we can do, but keep extending the invitation and try to keep that door open. So. Okay, the other thing, so last week we got a couple of responses on our RFP for the Innovative Housing grant. Now, nobody has submitted anything. All we've gotten was a few questions at this point. But we've got two firms that seem to be interested, so we'll continue to try to court both of those firms to see if we'll get them to turn in a response. Did meet with OTAC, that is our consultant on the Paso Mesa Verde Trail last week, and Wednesday we went out and walked around on the Cortez side. In particular, looking at the State Land Board property down there. We've got some areas down there where we've got you know, some pretty steep grades next to the highway, and we're out of necessity. We're going to have to leave that highway right away. And we did evaluate the potential site for the underpass, and I think we've all kind of come to the conclusion that we've nailed that one. It feels like a good site. So they're continuing to do their work on that. Then we've got an opportunity for a new grant. This is the basically it's a defensible space grant. It's a federal grant. We're really looking at maybe putting together a proposal for this. It's kind of a tight time frame on it. And the other thing is that one of the eligibility requirements is for project implementation described in the Community Wildfire Protection Plan that is not more than 10 years old. Okay, so we're right at the edge with our old plan, and frankly, it's not really well described in that plan, although we've reviewed all the areas that we've identified as being critical areas that need work, and we still think we've nailed all those areas, and most of those areas have had some work, but not a lot of substantial work. So it's individuals out there doing their work. So, you know, I met with, just visited with Matt Sheether, and I've talked with Jim Spratlin and Danny Margolis with the Dwarf Coordinating Group. And I think what we're inclined to do is try to get all of our partners together. That would be all the municipalities and all the conservation districts, and see if we can't nail down some acres. We need to have a map that identifies where our projects are, the acres, and come up with some numbers on that. And I think that there's maybe two ways that we can handle this. The first thing is that, you know, we all think that baking that into the CWPP is the right way to go. So we can go ahead and finalize our CWPP. We can also bring it back when we get the numbers in this project identified, include that as an amendment to the existing CWPP. Or we can hold off on signing that thing and just bake it right into the plan, you know, by not doing it through an amendment. So We'll have some more conversations about that and try to bring a stronger recommendation to the commissioners, but I think we have a path forward no matter which way we go with that. So, and again, this is another one that includes the tribes, and we'll try to keep the door open with the tribes on this one also. But there's a significant amount of dollars attached to it, and it doesn't appear at this point that there's a lot of match required, so that could be very helpful also. But anyway, it's a brand new grant, just came out last week, or was notified to me last week, and I really haven't had a lot of time to really sink my teeth into it and really get my head around it yet, but that's something I'll be focusing on this week. And I guess that concludes my report.
Okay. All right, thank you, James. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, I just noticed Andrea in the back. Andrea, did you want to?
I was just wondering if you guys were going to talk about the fair board stuff. As I'm sure Mr. Anderson told you, we had a long meeting last night, so I was just curious if there was going to be any other conversation about that today.
It was actually on our agenda for today, but with the conversation we had of direction from our administrator, we're going to invite the Fair Board in here to our next workshop. We'll split our workshop to accommodate them, and we'll start at 7 p.m. and have a conversation with them at that point in time.
Next Sunday?
Well, kind of going to see what their schedules will allow. We have workshops every Monday, so to us it doesn't matter. It'll be to accommodate their schedule. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Travis.
So I was able to attend a meeting with Mel at the landfill. I was able to spend a good portion of the morning with him, and what an education that I received. The landfill is highly functional. I couldn't believe what goes on in the front end and the back end just so that we can take our trash to the dumpster every morning, and the significant CDPHE rules that they have to follow, and they're always in compliance, and those people out there are just doing a bang-up job. So I wanted to kind of throw that out there. Met with the assessor related to the mill levy. The mill levies are starting to come out to the taxing districts. So any of the taxing districts that are listening, you should be receiving those, and we'll need to get those back pretty quickly. Lastly, I want to just go through the June payables for you. The general fund, excuse me, check register $282,263.82. Personal payroll $700,091.42. Total of $982,355.24. Road and bridge was $461,812.47. Personal payroll $215,726.15. Total of $677,538.62. Public health $45,801.20 in the check register. Personal payroll $137,683.19 with a total of $183,484.39. Capital fund check register $44,205.32, which was the same as the total. Administration fund check register $3,008.88 with the same total. Landfill check register $16,168.03. Personal payroll $45,171.40 with a total of $61,339.43. Check register total $853,259.72. Payroll total $1,098,672.16. Total $1,951,931.88. Social services warrants $189,594.27. EBT totals $1,394,808.69 with payroll $227,000. $156.81, total of $1,811,559.77, with the grand total for June payables, $3,763,491.65.
Okay, thank you, Travis. Gentlemen,
That's a big number.
it's always a big number. It just seems like it, well, I think last month it was less, but
Yeah.
it's typically around that.
I move we accept the expense statement for the month of June through June 30th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the payables from June 1st to June 30th, 2022 in the amount of $3,763,491.65. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Anything else, Travis? Good? Okay. All right. Commissioner Copenafer, we'll start with you today.
This last week, I attended the Mancos Town Council meeting, had some discussion with them about the electrical shortage, and tried to get people on board with getting on our contact list if they did have problems where they were needing electricity and stuff. Talked a little bit about how we have become so dependent on electricity that they had better have some self-preparation in case this happens again, because otherwise there's a lot of people out for the 24 hours. Like I was at my place, it was off for 24 hours. So, you know, you can lose a lot of your freezer and stuff. It'll hold pretty good as long as you don't ever open the door, but you
gotta eat.
It's pretty hard to do that without eating. So, discussed a couple other things at their meeting, but mostly I didn't stay for the whole total end of their meeting because I had a bunch of company that day, but gave them a little bit of update on where we were at and that we were going to start our budget process and how things were going there. On Wednesday, I had my first meeting with the Southwest Water Conservation Board. Got sworn into that board, and that basically meets every other month. Had a lot of discussion over the Colorado River and different issues that are coming forward with that, with a lot, whether it's Colorado River Board or the Southwest Board. They have a cooperative agreement where the two boards have to work together on any issues or any changes to the guidelines that are going on. Those two boards work together on those things, so we had quite a bit of discussion on that stuff. But it went pretty well. It lasted all day, and it's interesting to see what that board's been doing in the past and where it's going with it. It'll be interesting to see where we're at with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being our representative now. I appreciate it. Commissioner Lindsey.
Yes, I attended the city council meeting last week and spoke on behalf of our senior center and told them about the money that had been donated from town of Dolores and the town of Mancos, and asked them to kind of step up. And I know that Jonathan over there has put in a request for the city for $40,000 to help with the lack of funding from the state for our senior center. And I also told them about our grow dome, and they were pretty receptive about working together and putting that grow dome out in the area that we own by the combined courts area. And they're going to see what they come up with and pretty much turn it over to the P&Z to look at zoning and all kinds of stuff. And other than that, I have a housing solution meeting tomorrow, 3 o'clock, and that's about the size of it.
All right, very good. Well, I met also with our administrator and our assessor to go over our yearly mill levy report. Pretty good meeting. It was actually less than an hour, which is super good. Most meetings are 2 hours or over. So that was, everything in there was taken care of and dealt with in a timely manner. Had a TPR meeting in Durango. Commissioner Copenhaver was over there Wednesday. I was over there Thursday. Some of the bigger projects that have been completed, which, you know, the biggest one is the 151 Wildlife Crossing project. If you've driven over to Pagosa, you've seen the underpass and the overpass now. That project is pretty much complete. The project here in our county, from the state line, actually goes into New Mexico for a couple of miles to the Four Corners, and to Aztec Creek. That 8 miles is still under construction and going well. They still hope to have that finished by year's end. We'll see, but it doesn't seem like the rain has been hurting them at all. They're still able to proceed. Went to Escalante Days this weekend, pretty well attended. A lot of people over there. Saturday they had some 5K runs, and then they went into the entire day of Escalante Days. We had our workshop yesterday, which some of those we've already discussed today. We did not have our discussion with the League of Women Voters as far as it pertained to a proposal for a citizens guide in Montezuma County. We did discuss our Region 9 fees and the increase that we're going to be going up in that fee structure. A little bit about the Fair Board. We will now set up a special meeting with the Fair Board as soon as we can get that scheduled in the next couple of weeks. Discussed a community development action plan. So we looked over our CDAP. We'll do that next week also, as all we did was hit the high priorities. Next week we'll look at the medium priorities and see if we want to change anything as far as medium, move it, keep it at medium, or move it to low, or change it to high. So we discussed all of the high priorities yesterday. And then we had a presentation from Ms. Dornkamp over our employee handbook. And that will conclude my report.
I'd just like to add that school is back in session, so watch out for kids, school buses, and everything else that goes along with it. And Maple Street south of Main and Cortez is closed. So is the middle school, and so is Mesa School.
Some schools are back in session.
Are they?
Yeah, well, yeah, they're closed today.
They're closed today.
Because of that.
Because of the big water line break, so be careful and watch out for city employees around that intersection.
You know, and the last thing that I have is really to highlight, hopefully the people are out there, but really take, you know, what Commissioner Copenhaver said, you know, there are personal responsibilities. If you have issues that you have to have power and cannot be without it for an extended period of time, you should really be taking some responsibility on your own to make sure that you have an adequate backup or a way to get somewhere else in a timely manner, so that you can take care of your needs. Because like our emergency manager said, if you're not on a list and we don't know about you, probably nobody else knows about you either. So just to highlight that again, make sure that you have some personal responsibility to make sure your needs are met. And with that,
motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this Board of County Commissioners meeting for August 16th, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.